Dams are the forgotten superstars of human triumph and ingenuity. It's arguable that without them, mankind wouldn't have colonized this little blue planet as thoroughly as we have. Built for the sole purpose of keeping water collected into huge reservoirs, they help us by providing substantial quantities of life-giving water to towns. They also provide us with clean, reusable energy. But these structures have to hold strong under some of the most intense pressures of any man-made object out there. Usually they do the job, but on occasion, parts or even whole dams will fail. From a dam no one seemed to want to take care of to another preventable tragedy, we present you with 10 of the biggest dam failures in the world. Tiwari Dam. It had been raining for days over the Tiwari Dam in Maharashtra, India. Built in 2000, the walls were holding up for the most part, but people had been reporting cracks in the concrete for years. Not much was done about it because nobody could decide which district actually owned the dam. Since no one seemed to want to take responsibility, there were fewer people keeping up with the maintenance. On the night of July 2, 2019, with water pouring over the rim from flooding, the dam finally collapsed. In one instant, water crashed over the landscape and drowned 7 villages, and houses and animals were washed downstream. Of the 3,000 people affected, 19 perished in the tragedy, and a further 4 are still missing. Later, investigations discovered that the cause of the dam's failure was crabs. You heard that right. Hordes of freshwater crustaceans gathering at the base of the dam caused the surface to become damaged and eventually compromised the structural integrity. Sepian Nam Noi Dam. When we think of Laos, many of us don't imagine the booming center of Asia's hydropower. But a grouping of dams in the Adipo province has set them up as one of the world's powerhouses of clean energy. As you can imagine, the importance of this setup made maintaining these dams a top priority. So when a problem was noticed with one of the subsidiary dams, the authorities were notified immediately. An evacuation of the closest surrounding villages was ordered while workers did their best to repair the damage. But heavy rain slowed them down, and eroded roads made getting supplies exponentially more difficult. Early in the morning on July 23, 2018, just a few hours after the damage was discovered, villagers further downstream were told to flee. By 3 a.m. Tuesday, the closest village was underwater. By 9 that morning, 6 villages were flooded so deep that people had to climb to their roofs. 6,600 were left homeless, and over 120 were reported missing. Kizilagash Dam. Built in the Almaty province of Kazakhstan, the Kizilagash Dam had been allowed to degrade for years before the incident. Heavy rains and a sudden spike in temperature cracked the dam like a rotten egg, sending a wall of water gushing over the town. The path of the flood took out houses, roads, and even a highway bridge. At least 43 people perished in the accident, though some reports have estimated the count to be over 200. Determining the exact number is made a bit difficult by local authorities refusing to allow an official census. Whatever the number was, one thing is for certain: no one in Kizilagash is likely to forget that fateful day in March of 2010 anytime soon. Hopefully, this will serve as a warning for those who watch over the rest of the dams of our world that without maintenance, a dam will fail. Patel Dam. The Patel Dam was one of several dams on a flower farm in the Rift Valley in Kenya. A lengthy drought followed by 2 months of torrential downpours weakened the dam's structure. The flooding from a nearby forest drove boulders into the side of the dam and damaged it. On May 9, 2018, the dam broke open, spilling a sea of water that crashed down the valley and washed away 2 villages. 47 people were confirmed dead, with at least another 40 reported as missing. The kicker? When authorities were dispatched to the farm to check the remaining dams, not only did they describe one as ready to burst, but they said that all the dams had been built without permits and were therefore illegal. The farm owners maintained that their dams were built 20 years prior and therefore grandfathered in. Either way, hopefully, the remaining dams will stay standing. Sayano-Shushenskaya Dam. The largest hydroelectric dam in Russia, the Sayano-Shushenskaya stood 80 stories tall and was more than half a mile wide. It put out enough energy to power a city of 3.8 million and operated by forcing water over 10 massive turbines. On August 17th of 2009, workers showed up to the plant for what they expected to be a normal repair day. The trouble started when an issue with a nearby plant prompted supervisors to order Turbine 2 to be turned back on. It was barely 8 in the morning when, boom! An explosion punched Turbine 2 through solid cement and sent it 50 feet into the air. Safety systems failed to kick in and the remaining turbines continued going, ultimately flooding the lower levels with 40 tons of oil pumped into the Yenisei River. Thankfully, the dam didn't fail completely and workers were able to stop the leak, but not before 75 people lost their lives. Brumadinho Dam. Looking at the damage caused by the collapse of the Brumadinho Dam in Brazil, it's hard to imagine anyone could have survived. Even the governor said that chances of recovering any of the more than 300 missing workers alive were slim. Originally built to hold the leftover waste from the mine, the dam had been inactive for several years. A German company hired to monitor the safety of the structure had last reported that the mine was stable. The dam's warning sirens never went off. Not only was the mine buried in a cascade of sludge, but people in surrounded towns had to be rescued by helicopter after the roads flooded with the gunk. Officials were quick to say that there was no known cause of the dam's failure, while activists continued to push for an investigation into this tragic and preventable accident. Vaillant Dam. It's tragic enough when a dam fails, but when a dam fails after the government ignores every report that says it will, it's downright infuriating. Vaillant Dam is the tallest dam in the world. Wedged into a cliff 60 miles outside of Venice, Italy, this gargantuan feat of human ingenuity is 860 feet tall, 89 feet wide, and 72 feet thick. Partly due to its size, a landslide had been expected during the process of filling it, but politicians ignored warning signs that the slide would happen faster than expected. Within 45 seconds, more than 340 million cubic feet of soil, trees, and rocks plummeted into the water. The resulting overflow turned into an 820-foot-tall man-made tsunami that crashed over the top of the dam and flattened homes for a full 200 feet. 2,000 people lost their lives that day, and the government was quick to try and blame the accident on Mother Nature. Thankfully, the truth was discovered. South Fork Dam. Made out of earth and rock, the South Fork Dam was built in 1852 with the express purpose of providing water to sections of the Pennsylvania Canal. But it was a dam built to fail. At 918 feet long and 72 feet tall, the dam required at least a 150-foot spillway. Yet the finished construction only featured one that was 70 feet. Still, it stood for 2 decades until a section of it was washed out in 1879. The property was then sold to a man named Benjamin Ruff, who was looking to turn it into a resort for the wealthy. His plans included an expensive hunting lodge and repairing the broken dam with a bit of mud and some hay. Naturally, that didn't go well. On May 31, 1889, after a significant storm, the dam experienced a catastrophic failure. 20 million tons of water cascaded over the dam, washing out the dam and crashing 14 miles down the river to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Investigators linked the dam's failure directly to Ruff's repairs. Had the dam been rebuilt to previous specifications, it's unlikely that 2,209 people would have lost their lives. Mashu 2 Dam. One of the greatest man-made floods in all of history was once touted as an accident of nature. But a new book covering the Mashu 2 Dam failure discovered it wasn't a natural disaster or mistakes on the part of dam workers that sent an unimaginable amount of water flooding 12 feet deep into the city of Morbi. Warning signs and reports were ignored by the Gujarat government, and the dam was essentially doomed before it even went up. First of all, this was a 2.5-mile-long dam made of hardened dirt. Even cement could easily become brittle stretched out over that distance. But the incident on August 11, 1979 happened following 10 days of unrelenting rain. All that water overflowed over the top of the dam, and because it was made of dirt, the force of the flood took out the entire thing. And within 20 minutes, the city was covered. The death toll was estimated between 5,000 and 10,000 because nobody even bothered to warn the city to evacuate. Banqiao Dam. It was August of 1975 when it poured over the Henan province in eastern China. And we mean serious rain. In one day, they exceeded their average yearly rainfall. The next day, it rained 16 more hours and then 13 hours on day number 3. Now, if the Chinese government had listened to hydrologist Shen Xing, it wouldn't have been such a big deal. His plan to add 12 sluices to the Banqiao Dam would have alleviated the pressure. Instead, they fired him and reduced that number to 5. On August 8, the rain stopped and everyone cheered. Suddenly, There was a horrible crash as the dam broke open, spilling a 20-foot wall of water down on the unsuspecting public. That failure started a chain reaction, and before the night was up, 62 dams had burst, 29,000 people had perished, and the rest were clinging for life to trees and standing on rooftops. However, many survivors suffered and perished from starvation and disease. Overall, the death toll was estimated to be as high as 230,000 lives lost, and the entire tragedy was preventable. That concludes our video on the 10 biggest dam failures. Let us know which one of these you found the most interesting. And if you liked the video, then click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.